Is Victor Gyökeres the new FPL meta? Welcome back to the Transfer Plan series, where we discuss the possible moves I can make ahead of the game week deadline, weighing up the different options and sharing my thoughts on my personal FPL team. So let's waste no time and get straight into things. Welcome to the Transfer Plan series, where we take a look at my personal FPL team and the moves I could possibly make ahead of the game week deadline. If you're brand new to the channel, welcome. I make regular FPL videos to help you guys at home be better FPL managers. If you appreciate that and want more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. I'm super close to 900 subs. It'd be amazing if we hit that on today's video. If you want to show some further support, you can like the video as well if you enjoy it. But let's take a look at how we performed in the previous game week. I always like to start the transfer plans video with this because it lets us identify possible issues within the squad, who are the best performers, who possibly needs transferring out, and we take a look at that in the next section. So just a quick overview of the squad. I don't want to spend too long on this section because the game week 3 fixtures felt like ages ago. So yeah, over the defence, we had Pedro Porro and Vicario. Sadly not come away with a clean sheet, but coming away with some points from that fixture. Tosin doing an amazing job and getting 8 points in his fixture. Fantastic going with him. Of course, a massive differential for my squad. Salah getting 3 points. Of course, he was a potential captaincy option for the game week. He always is. It's Mohamed Salah, but we chose to go Bruno Fernandes, and we were completely right to do so, being the top scorer in my particular team. So the best possible outcome for me personally. He got 10 points and, of course, double equaling 20. Fantastic from Bruno Fernandes. I'm so glad he got a goal in that fixture because everyone was on my back about Bruno Fernandes' captaincy, and it was just the best option for my team. Rest of the team, you've got Wirtz there, you know, only a clean sheet there for 3 points. Reinders and Kudus, sadly disappointing. Kudus was a transfer in for me last game week. Palmer out, Kudus in, Evan Nielsen out, and Victor Gyökeres in. Of course, I took around -5 points in terms of overall profit from those transfers, so not good transfers whatsoever. A bit disappointed on that, but I think for future game weeks, those two players in Kudus and Gyökeres will definitely pay back the deficit they are already in terms of FPL points. Mateta doing quite well with 5 points there. I always feel like when a forward does well in FPL, they don't always come away with like staggering amounts of points unless there's someone like Erling Haaland or they just go completely crazy. But 5 points, I'll completely take that from Jean-Philippe Mateta. Gyökeres with the 1 point there. I feel as though I may be a bit early on Gyökeres, but with the news that we've just received that Nottingham Forest have actually sacked Nuno and are probably going to sign Ange Postecoglou now, their defence is probably going to crumble, and we'll look at how the team's looking in the next section. But overall, pretty happy. Obviously a green arrow for the game week. My league code is actually above my head right now. A lot of people have been asking for that. It's in the comments as well as an auto link to join in the comments. So yeah, go check that out. But that's how we performed in game week 3. Let's take a look at my transfer plans for game week 4. Now, I've said this in previous videos, this game week in particular, but my squad for game week 4, I feel as it's the strongest it's been since the start of the season. It looks incredible. The only real issue I have, fixture-wise within this squad, is Bruno Fernandes against Manchester City away from home. It's not the greatest fixture, but it's a fixture where defensive contribution points for Bruno are probably going to be met quite easily. And, of course, anything can happen in a derby fixture, so I don't particularly mind it too much from Bruno Fernandes there. He is just a good generator of defensive contributions, and you never know, he could come away with an attack and return within this fixture. We'll start the back line: Vicario, Tosin, Anderson, Pedro Porro. Again, across the board, amazing fixtures. I don't think there's any sort of moves I could potentially make to strengthen the back line in particular. Looking at Anderson with Leeds at home, I feel as though Leeds could nick a goal in this fixture, but at home at Craven Cottage, I think Fulham could come away with a clean sheet in that fixture. So all that being said about defence, again, really, really strong. I'm so happy with this squad. It's unbelievable. Like, if you haven't guessed already, I'm probably going to be rolling the transfer. It doesn't quite make sense to make too many changes within my squad. We'll come to one particular transfer I could make this game week, but it's highly unlikely I do so. Across the midfield, again, amazing. Mohamed Salah, I mean, you guessed it, he's going to be captain this game week. Burnley away from home. It's a fantastic fixture. I'm also hoping that Florian Wirtz can hit the ground running and really impact the Liverpool team and come away with some FPL points, because I feel as though he's been disrespected as an asset. He's now coming into the good fixtures. A lot of people have already sold him, so I'm hoping he can prove those people wrong and come away with some nice points for me. You've got the front line here of GYÖKERES and Mateta. You'll see I've titled the video that GYÖKERES is probably the meta striker to own in FPL right now, and I absolutely believe that, because I think I'm maybe a few weeks early on GYÖKERES, but with Saka being out, we know that GYÖKERES is probably going to be taking penalties for Arsenal. I think that's a massive boost for him personally. I assumed he was going to take penalties off Bukayo Saka anyway, but you never know when the two are in the squad who's really going to be taking them. It's not being fully confirmed, but I feel as though GYÖKERES is going to be Arsenal's penalty taker this Premier League season. And of course, I did mention in the previous section that Nottingham Forest have sacked Nuno as their manager, and they have signed Ange Postecoglou. We're getting Postecoglou ball, we're getting Ange ball back in the Premier League. I mean, we've seen how that went for Spurs. Do I think it's going to be the same for Forest? I'm not too sure. I just know for a fact that Forest are going to be more fragile defensively if Postecoglou follows the same exact system that he likes to play, that he's played with Spurs. I do think maybe you look at that Spurs team last season, you understand the injuries they had and sort of the hardships within the squad. Maybe Forest can be better adapted to Postecoglou's system in terms of the depth that they brought in this transfer window. It's hard to tell. We need to see a game before we can judge, but I quite like GYÖKERES now as an option for this game week in particular, when initially, when Nuno was in charge, I was a bit hesitant because Nottingham Forest are just a good defence. Is that going to change under Postecoglou? We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, in my case, because GYÖKERES, I feel, is a fantastic player to be owning in FPL right now. A lot cheaper than Alexander Isak, who a lot of people are buying in FPL. I think GYÖKERES is the better option right now to be picking 100%. You've got Mateta as well, Sunderland at home. I support Sunderland. It's not always great to have a player against my team. It's the first time in FPL where I've kind of had this issue where my team's been inside the Premier League while I've played FPL. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, Sunderland could do this. Sunderland, it just is a good fixture. I have to be completely honest and not biased when it comes to FPL. If I'm biased and I'm favouring Sunderland here and there, I'm going to get punished by it because we are a newly promoted side. We can't hide the fact that we will probably struggle this season and be within that relegation sort of battle. So Mateta, obviously a big problem with Mateta's output in terms of getting chances for this fixture and future fixtures is the potential injury of Ismaila Sarr. I feel as though Ismaila Sarr is a massive driver for those Crystal Palace attacks. How is it going to look now? Is that new signing going to come into play and kind of take Sarr's position? Incredibly hard to tell. We actually haven't even had full confirmation that Ismaila Sarr's out for this fixture. It does seem like he's going to be, from what was leaked from, I believe it was Senegal on their official website. But yeah, I do think Mateta is a great option. Overall, an amazing team. Murillo on the bench, first on the bench there. This is probably where the only transfer could be used this game week. I could perhaps jump on an Arsenal defender in Gabriel. That's kind of my thoughts with the team so far. We'll go into the next section of the video and I'll show you a kind of demonstration on what the team could look like in the next few weeks to come with a few transfers in and out my squad. Now, I won't spend too long on this section because the plan is to roll the transfer for this game week, but we're going to explore the possible move of Murillo out because I know a lot of people won't be too keen on the Forest defence with the news that Ange is now appointed as the manager, or set to be appointed, that is. We look at Nottingham Forest fixtures. Of course, Arsenal this week, you're not going to be playing a Forest defender. Burnley and Sunderland are good enough to definitely keep Forest defenders, and that sort of fixture block will allow us to see how Postecoglou sets up Nottingham Forest if he is their manager. I feel as though they're definitely worth keeping, but let's say in a world where I wanted to get rid of them and potentially go in for an Arsenal defender, potentially before price rises come, because I feel as though Gabriel is going to be a popular asset to have in FPL in a few weeks' time. Maybe we jump on early before price rises because we look past game week 6 here. that's a nice block of fixtures. I would quite like to have an Arsenal defender from game week 7 onwards. So the issue with Arsenal defenders I have personally is I get so many comments, especially on short form platforms like TikTok and Instagram, that I like this player, I like Timber, I like Calafiori, I want this player in my free hit team. I'm like, well, let's slow down a second, because would you be at all surprised if one game Timber starts, then the next game Ben White starts? No, you absolutely wouldn't be surprised. That's just how Arsenal set up their teams. We've had news that they're hopeful that Ben White will be available for the next fixture. Does that mean he's going to start? Probably not. But does that affect Timber's potential minutes going into this fixture? Absolutely. So that puts me off going for a slightly cheaper Arsenal defender in the future. Calafiori, same thing applies. Would we be completely surprised if Lewis Skelly comes in his position? No. But they have had attacking returns, and I understand the appeal of that. I'm just not too keen on taking that risk so early in the season. We have to remember we have 36 game weeks to play. Do I need to take unnecessary moves to get these players in early? I don't think so. I'm going to be rolling the transfer this game week. We're going to be captaining Mo Salah. I don't know why Bruno's still captain. It's probably off the previous game week. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm planning to deal with the game week in terms of transfers. We're rolling ahead, and we're probably going to roll for a number of weeks, heading into probably game week 6 with 3 free transfers. Getting rid of possibly Mateta, maybe Florian Wirtz if he's still being a disappointing asset after his good fixtures of Burnley and Everton. But let me know what you think of my transfer plans, what do you think of my squad, and comment any questions you have about FPL in the comment section. Tomorrow's video is going to be my transfer tips video, where I cover the popular transfers in and out of people's FPL teams and give you my thoughts and opinions on whether they're good moves or bad moves in FPL. I always like to say a massive thank you to those who support the FPL Mogs YouTube channel, and of course if you did enjoy today's video, go ahead and drop a like, and if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that sub button as well for future FPL content and deadline streams. But that is absolutely everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.